Welcome everyone to Unsheathed Sword Reviews. I'm Vic.
I'm John.
And I'm Scott.
And this is episode 2 of Unsheathed Sword Podcast. Scott, what are we going to talk about in today's episode?
Well, Vic, today we're going to be talking about weapons we would like in a post-apocalyptic existence.
I don't know
On
about
this
y'all.
planet, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's feeling more and more relevant every day, by the way.
Yeah, this time Scott has no room to complain because he was given ample time
Yes,
to think about the topic.
I was not told about this last night. I was told about this days ago. So yes,
You're
I
welcome.
feel like
That
I
was
was
my
in the
idea,
loop.
by the way.
Good job, John. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's whatever, fine. Whatever, it can be John's idea. But yes, we're going to start out. We have no real format here. But John, do we just want to, like we did last time, go around listing different options that we're all picking?
Yeah, definitely.
Are we going clockwise?
Can we go actual clockwise? That kept fucking me up last time.
Clockwise.
This is this way.
That's how
All
we
right.
do it. All right, cool. So, I was considering a variety of scenarios for this assignment because I think that there are different things you need to consider. Are you staying in one place? Are you like at a base that is your base that you're going to basically be staying there? Maybe you got to protect from hordes of the undead. Maybe you got to protect it from raiders. Is that your situation? Or are you on your way somewhere? Did you hear, 500 miles away, there's a safe zone and you got to make it there and get there? So I think that those are relevant questions. So to start out with, I'm going to just say, all right, I'm on my way somewhere far from here that I need to get to. And so I can't have a lot of big, bulky things with me. So for example, anyway, I'll just talk about that. So the first thing I think I would want to have with me is a spear. Okay? And so I've got a spear at home that I made. It's with the Viking hewing spearhead from Arms and Armor, I think, or Museum Replicas. I can't remember where it's from, but it's a great big giant hewing spearhead. It's about this long, and I have it on a shaft that's about 6.5 feet long. And so it's about 7 feet long altogether. So it's a little bit big to tote around inside, but if I'm walking outside a long distance, it can double as a walking stick. And there's a reason why spears were the prime weapon of the battlefield for thousands of years, with the exception of Rome, is because they're really good at keeping things far away from you while you stick them with the pointy end. And they're pretty easy to use because you can train the average person for a couple of weeks with a spear and they're going to be decent with it and actually do really well against people that are like really good with long swords. So that's kind of an odd thing, but it's true. Matt Easton did a video of that. So yeah, I think the first thing I would have is my spear.
Okay. Good pick. Scott?
Nice. I like what you said. Am I next?
Yeah.
Oh, my
Yeah,
goodness.
going that way.
Uh-huh. Man, you guys are throwing me off with this clockwise thing when we're just in a line. I don't
You want to
even,
go better shit?
I don't
Straight
even
up
get
for
it. But anyways, okay. I like what you said, John.
Thank you,
Yeah.
Scott.
Along the same lines. Now, whether we got zombies or no zombies, in a post-apocalyptic existence, who do we need to worry about next?
People.
No, mutants.
Oh.
So, and these are not mutants like the X-Men. Beautiful, gorgeous men and women with mighty Omega level superpowers. These are ugly, radioactive inbred creatures. Okay,
Big tumors on their faces and
no,
shit.
they're probably not mutants, but they're people.
Somebody just saw Fallout.
With some sort of mutant abilities. Anyways, with the people, you're right. You guys got right first. I'm gonna have a rifle of some sort, a semi-automatic rifle. I'm not going to go into specifics. It's basically the one I can find the amount of ammunition for that I need. And I'm not going to go automatic because that's an extreme, obscene waste of ammunition. But I am going to have one with a fixed bayonet because I like to have a spear. And I was thinking about a spear, John, too. And then I was worried about a real long spear. Walking stick is a good way to use it. But I think if I could put it on a sling. I could carry it around. I'd have my bayonet, so I'd also have a short spear. And if there's some other people that have some firearms, I could defend myself in that way as well. So I think would be my first weapon in the post-apocalypse.
So first off, that is an excellent choice. And second of all, that was what I was thinking today, was that I was going to say that. But then I was like, you know what? I'm going to obviously just keep firearms out of it.
Right.
Because then, like, we could talk about which guns we want to bring.
That's a whole other podcast.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I definitely would want to have a sidearm. I want to have at least a long gun, like you're talking about, and a bayonet's friggin' an awesome idea.
I was the key point of this was the bayonet on a rifle. The rifle,
secondary.
It's just secondary weapon.
But no, definitely, the bayonet would be sick.
Drum the mutants and mutated people and people.
Of course,
all of them.
Yeah, one thing I was going to say.
People. Work with me, people. Work with me, mutants.
One thing I was going to preface before I get going was just like, whatever the post-apocalyptic scenario, whether that's zombies, mutants, Scott's biggest fear, the robots, or otherwise, and just for the record, when it does come time for the robots to take over, I want everyone to know I plan on selling the human race out
dirtiest
hard.
Traitor.
I, for one, like to welcome our new robot overlords. And I will sell the human race out hard. Anyway, point is that yes, regardless of the scenario, I'm going to have firearms on me. Specifically, like John was saying, I'm going to have a primary firearm and then a secondary firearm on top of whatever sharp stuff I have.
Absolutely.
But that's conversation for a different day. I'm going to focus to what kind of edged weapons I would have on me. Now, that would actually, for me specifically, differ a little bit if it's like I'm gearing up for zombies or if I'm just gearing up for, a random apocalypse and there's no kinds of crazy sci-fi stuff to worry about. So I was thinking spear also, but for me in my scenario, like if I'm having to run and jump and jump fences, crawl through things, whatever, spears are long and going to be somewhat cumbersome to like keep on your person if you're trying to do that kind of stuff. Although the walking stick thing I did like quite a bit. So for me personally,
pole vault those fences
until you land on the tip of the stick. That's a bad day.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to think in scenarios of. I was thinking primarily just to what I have in my collection. If this hit tomorrow, and what am I grabbing and going with? So this is specifically if there are zombies, if those are a thing I have to worry about, then I think one of the best swords that I would grab and go would be my one-handed Grosses Messer by Todd Cutler. The reason I think that's a fantastic choice, it is pretty short. It's pretty light. It could easily, like if you have like a gun belt or a duty belt that you have all your other stuff on, that could strap on very easily to the opposing side and just hang there with you. Also, because it is a big wide blade, be really, really good for cutting. Could double as a tool if I need to do any kind of chopping. And I'm not going to encounter breastplates in this scenario, most likely. So even if I did come across like a zombie that was in, riot gear or something like that, I could still probably thrust through and knock off the helmet and like do some real damage with that blade. I feel like that would be a very versatile blade, whether the apocalypse be zombies or otherwise. So that would probably be the first long bladed object that I would want to grab.
That is an excellent choice, and it's also got some heft and beef to it, so it's not like the edge isn't going to break down the first time you hit something hard.
Right. And it doesn't need to be terribly super sharp all the time to still do damage. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
No, that's a really good choice. That's a really good choice. So you threw a wrench into my works when you mentioned robots. Because, like, I'm thinking soft targets here, right? So everything I was thinking was blades, right? But if I know there are robots out there, like my D&D brain kicks in. I'm like, a robot's kind of like a skeleton, right? And skeletons are immune to slashing and stabbing damage. So we need some bashing damage here.
We need some blunt force.
Blunt force trauma, exactly. So the spear would be useful in that regard because it does double as a quarterstaff, so that would be useful. I also think if it's really robots out there trying to kill us, a warhammer might be the way to go.
Yeah, some blunt force.
Yeah, big blunt force. Maybe like the Arms and Armor Knightly Poleaxe.
Yeah. Well, I was saying not even necessarily just a hammer, but like a mace would do really good.
A mace would work too.
Also.
Yeah, totally. Yep, just to break down hard targets that are going to be resistant to blades. That's a good consideration. I didn't think about that.
Although again, if it is robots, I'm dropping to my knees and welcoming them as my new savior. So that's my go-to with the robots.
So you don't even need it because you're going to give up.
I'm going to give up if it's the robots. Okay. Yeah.
So I'll need at least one sharp thing then.
I have a feeling in any type of overwhelming odds, you're going to give up, Vic.
That is not true.
And you're going to welcome yourself to them.
Okay, first of all, it's totally true. Second of all, how dare you presume to know me? All right, Scott, what do you got next?
Oh, next. Well, I almost thought that John was going to steal my answer on this because it was a combo.
Okay.
I like a hatchet. I don't know if I want a real long axe, but I want a mid-size axe, somewhere between a hatchet, maybe like a regular axe, not like a big war axe, not a little hatchet, something mid-range with a hatchet on one side. I don't want some stabby pokey thing on the other end because we know we don't like that. That'll hurt you. But if I had a hammer side,
There you go.
I would have a hammer on one side when I needed it, but usually the axe, so I could use that against the mutants people or mutant people hybrid.
Do you not think that an axe would get like cumbersome to like carry with you all the time? Because that's another thing to consider. Is like you can't just throw something on your back like in a video game and it disappears.
It's too light. It's too black.
What?
It's too light.
I'm just saying, like,
Yes, you
too wrong,
can.
it's
I mean,
right.
you're gonna have you're probably gonna have some type of ruck device on the back that you're carrying the things of any weight, and I'm gonna have some type of a holster or a holding device for that purpose. So yeah, I'm not going to be carrying it in my hands all day.
Okay.
That's ridiculous.
I'm just saying.
That's rookie novice
That is
behavior.
part of the thing to consider is how cumbersome is this thing to carry.
That's what I want, and that's what I'm going to use, and that's how I'm going to do it.
Okay.
Scott, I support your ideas. You can have whatever weapons you want.
Hey, I believe in
You know
you.
what?
Here we go.
You know what weapon you have that is the most valuable though is the unwillingness to quit.
Yes.
And you know what? I know some
Yes.
people at this table. That
I
have
know
that.
somebody
I'm gonna
who's the
cheers.
opposite of that.
Exactly.
I'm gonna cheers
Exactly.
myself. Here's to you, Vic. Thanks, other Vic. You're a gem, aren't you? Yeah, you are. All right.
All right,
Okay.
Vic, what do you got?
Okay, so circling back to me. So one of the items that I also thought would be good to have that is sword sized because it is a sword, but also like keeps in line with kind of like on the run. I want to keep my weight down. I want to keep, everything in total that I'm keeping with me light, but it's also going to still be super useful, especially in close combat, would be the Type 18 Monarch Arming Sword that I have by Valiant Armory. So that is a relatively short blade, just under 27 inches for an army sword. It is stout. It is a great combination between cut and thrust. And again, I'm not going to be encountering breastplates. So even if I am encountering somebody in riot gear, that's going to go right through a freaking vest or anything like that.
Yeah.
And it's still a good enough cutter that soft targets should be able to cut right through. I feel like that could be really proficient in terms of like different kinds of combat I can need it for. And while it's not exactly a machete or anything like that, it's still short enough that it could probably double as a tool. Like if I needed to do some kind of light chopping and stuff like that, I probably could. Really didn't want to, but yeah, I think that wouldn't be a bad choice, specifically because it does have such a pretty acute point, and if I was in close range with zombies, that would be a very good skull stabber. So that's kind of where I would go, is the Monarch.
That is a good option. And my next choice, I was on the fence between an arming sword similar to that or what I chose.
I like what you chose a lot, actually.
Do you know?
Well, isn't it the one over there?
Well, no.
Oh, okay,
I'm
my
going
bad.
in a different
Oh,
direction,
you
too.
brought your jump to conclusion back.
Okay, fair enough. I will shut the fuck up. Go for it.
So now I'm thinking in terms of a different scenario. So the first scenario I talked about is like if I'm trying to get somewhere and I have to be light and fast and only carry what I can handle easily. So now I'm thinking of a scenario like let's say you found a base somewhere where you need to protect that, and so maybe you need to like go on shift and fight zombies for 3 hours or something, and you can bring whatever weapons you want with you to do that. I think I would go with, now it's going to be a modified version of this because I doubt I'll have access to Victor Scutum because he's going to have it. But I would get like a riot shield, like a good solid plastic riot shield with the curved front, right? And then a gladius.
Yeah.
It is, I mean, it's age-old pair, right? We know they work well together. And, I mean, the gladius can cut really well. It's a very underrated cutting sword. I think Matt Easton actually said it's the most underrated cutting sword in the world. So it cuts real well, definitely can take limbs off. And it's great for stabbing over the top and stabbing alongside of that shield. And I mean, like, you could kill any number of zombies in a hallway with that.
Right.
You know, if they're just walking towards you and you're blocking them and stab, block, stab, block, stab. I mean, you can do that so you get tired.
Right. Well, and especially like a riot shield would be perfect because it's going to be so lightweight. Like
Compared to that, yeah.
But still like thick enough and durable enough to where nothing's going to get through it.
Exactly.
You just use that to hold them at bay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
And the reason I went with the gladius instead of an arming sword is because the only thing that's better about the arming sword probably is it's got more hand protection.
Right.
And since you're not sword fighting people,
Yeah, you don't really need
right,
that.
you don't need the hand protection. It's not as great,
Right.
and that could get caught on the shield coming out
Right.
when you're stabbing. So that's why I went with the no hand protection. But yeah, I think that would be a good weapon system for the post-apocalypse.
Especially for narrow spaces. Like you
Definitely,
said,
yeah.
you could hold a hallway until you get tired.
Exactly, yeah, for sure. So I think
You're not
that
going to
would
ask
grow.
him how he's going to carry it around all day?
Well, but
That
no,
was going to be my next question.
my point was that's when I'm defending like my camp. So
got it.
I just
Yeah,
have to
right.
for my shift. You know what I mean? I'm only gonna have my gear on me
Right.
for my
I hear
patrol, not like everything I own.
It's not something like if shit breaks down, you're going to be carrying that with you.
Probably not.
Right,
No, I'm
right,
gonna
right.
leave that there for sure. But yeah, that's what I think I would do for my protect the zone thing.
Right. Okay. Makes sense.
All right, guys, what kind of zombies are we talking about here? Are these The Walking Dead zombies, or are these those zombies that run
Like
until their
28
legs
days later
fall out?
zombies?
I hate those. Are the worst. Those are the worst. Those suck.
Let's take those out of consideration.
You know what? Let's talk realistically.
About
Real zombies.
Exactly.
The fastest they're going to move is an uncoordinated lazy trot.
Right.
Okay.
Am I right? Am I right?
Yeah.
But even
And that's bad enough.
Sure.
That's fast enough. You know,
Wait, what
lazy uncoordinated
Do it
trot.
again.
That's it. You missed. If you missed it, you missed it. I could have got up and ran across the camera,
so we can watch it
but I
forever.
chose not to. So my next weapon would be along the lines of an arming sword or a Viking sword, something that's light, nimble, has some length to it, but not too much. Do you see where I'm going with
I
this?
see exactly where you're
Yes.
going with this.
Because weight is gonna be a factor, and I need something I can swing around for a while against these lazy, uncoordinated trotting zombies, and that's gonna be what?
I don't think lazy. They're not lazy. They're
Yeah,
gonna stick to it. They're gonna stick
you're
to
right.
the goal.
You're right.
So-
you're right.
Yeah, they're uncoordinated, definitely, and they are trotting, but they are
Yeah.
not lazy.
So I like.
Okay, no, you're right.
They have a
you're right.
work ethic second to none.
Well, and like in The Walking
Brains.
Dead.
Right.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but in The Walking Dead, the way those zombies work, when a zombie's fresh, it could sprint full speed at you. However, the muscles are going to tear and break
Wait,
down.
hold
and
on,
it's not
hold
gonna
on.
recover.
What kind of zombie did you just say?
Walking Dead.
I've never seen those sprinting.
They
So
can't.
they
They're
can
not
sprint.
coordinated. They're not
They're-
coordinated. Okay, I don't know English. They're not coordinated enough to sprint, but they can move quickly. Like
Yeah,
a
so
fast
when
walk.
they have
Okay,
predicted that.
speed walk.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like say if you
Okay.
died right now,
Victor,
And
there's
then
a
you-
big difference between a speed walk and a sprint.
they sprint. There's episodes. I will pull up early episodes, and the scene when Shane died. Spoilers if you haven't seen the
You
show.
have to agree to disagree.
Like the second he became a fucking
A vampire?
zombie.
No, you
zombie.
said you said
okay.
you were going to say a
He
vampire.
sprinted
Right.
at Rick and lunged at him super
Uh-huh.
fast. So
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
super speed, but you're still physically capable.
Sure,
And then
yeah.
because your body's rotting and it's not going to recover, like you're going to get slower and slower and slower.
Every
So
time.
like the old zombies can hardly fucking move, but
Right.
fresh zombies can move fairly well. Not coordinated, but they're like target go.
Sure. Yeah.
Expiration date. I see.
Yeah.
I understand.
So
Yeah,
you do need to have something that's going to handle faster moving zombies, even though the massive majority are going to be slow moving, right?
True facts.
So I kind of like that lore too, that they still are degrading, you know what I mean? Because they're fucking dead bodies. But yeah, I think you do got to worry a little bit about some quick moving zombies
Okay.
And people.
and people. I mean, and people.
Yeah, we keep forgetting about the people.
Right.
There's the people are around.
Yeah, well, we
And
got the
they're probably
guns for the people.
they're cannibals by then. Most of them. Most of them are cannibalistic.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I look delicious. I don't know about you guys. So yeah, we got.
I mean, if the zombie apocalypse happened tonight, by tomorrow morning,
I'm
I'd be like,
well-
they're all cannibals. They're all cannibals.
I'm well marbled, so
that's,
you know.
that's what I'm talking about, man. Seriously,
Whose turn is it? Or is it
I believe it is my turn now.
Okay,
Right.
go for it.
So going back to the initial scenario
Did you
that I
go after
proposed.
myself?
No,
You
but
didn't?
it's fine. It's
No,
fine.
he
Just
didn't
go.
go.
He
I
didn't
thought
go.
you went.
No,
No,
I
he
did
didn't
not.
go.
No,
He
it's
didn't
fine.
You said you were talking about fast movies.
You didn't go.
I didn't say a thing, but it dawned on me that I didn't say a thing until
Okay.
after I told you to go. So I was like, "Fuck
Okay,
it, it's
so
fine."
go ahead. Go ahead. I don't know your thing.
That's fine. Kukri. Regardless of what kind of, even if no zombies, whatever it is, a kukri is just a fantastic tool because it doubles as a tool. It doubles as something that you could utilize to chop wood or to like camp with and all that, on top of the fact that it is a weapon, especially like a decent sized kukri. To me, it'd be like, 11, 12 inches, something around there. Great weapon, great tool. Honestly, if the apocalypse happened tomorrow, that would be one of the first things I grabbed off my shelf in order to run with. So yeah, kukri.
That's a really good choice, and I definitely like that it's equally useful as a tool and a weapon. That's awesome.
I mean, I feel like you'd also go Bowie knife, but I just like kukri's better. But I mean, both of those are going to do the same thing, just a little
I'd rather
different,
have
right?
kukri than Bowie.
I'd rather go kukri, but I know like some people would probably prefer a Bowie knife. But yeah,
Especially if you're going to chop down a tree or something. Like, I'd rather do that with a kukri
Right.
every day. But
but either one I
where do
think
you
is a
fall
good
on that,
choice.
Scott?
Yeah,
I agree. I'd rather have a kukri or a machete
machete.
than a Bowie knife. Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If it could be Danny Trejo, I'll tell you that would be the best. We would really prefer that. But so back to the scenario where I'm on the road and I've got my spear. I'm going to need a sword of some kind, probably a short sword, because if I have to go into a building for some reason, I'm probably going to leave the spear outside because it's just going to get caught in doorways and slow me down and be an encumbrance. So I have two choices for that, and it's going to depend on the location that I'm in. If I'm in a wooded area where I'm going to have to be cutting vines and trees and all that sort of stuff, I would use the Hanwai Banshee which we have a full review on. You should probably check that out. But it's a Southeast Asian sword, and like most Southeast Asian swords, krabbies and that sort of stuff, they are more weapons, but almost equally suited to bushcraft. So like chopping down vines and all that kind of stuff. They're really, really good. So that would be my choice if I was having to go through the woods. But if I'm just in an urban area, what I would have is this sword right here.
Be careful.
I'm going to try not to cut my finger.
You got the business end right there, John. Be careful.
I get it. I get it.
This was well planned out.
Yes. It would be this sword right here. So what this sword is actually a purpose-built tactical sword by a little guy you may know. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's Angus Trim.
I might have popped up once or twice.
Yeah, wow.
Just a guy, he's pretty awesome at making swords, and he is now making a medieval tactical line where he makes tactical swords for exactly the sort of scenario that we're discussing, the fictional scenario that we're discussing, based on actual medieval swords. So this is one of the first ones he made, and it's actually a cut-down blade, so it's kind of an original. But this thing is short. It feels like murder in your hands. It just wants to cut through everything. It's good for thrusting, good for cutting, and it would be really easy to wear as a sidearm because it's not going to hang up on everything because it's super short. Mm-hmm. So I really think having this on me for the zombie apocalypse or an apocalypse of any kind would be very useful.
So I agree, and literally, if you don't mind, this is what I would want the Monarch to be. Like, I would pick the Monarch, I said earlier, because it is the closest in line to something like this. Mm-hmm. Short, lightweight, fast, still has authority. But everything that I like about the Monarch for the zombie apocalypse, I like this for better. So, like, this is exactly what I think you should go with. Also, I think this is the first time we could ever actually say this correctly, or that it actually applies. Friend of the show, Angus Trim.
Solid points. Just don't tell them we're lying, please.
Yeah. But yes, I think this is a good pick.
Yeah, so this is a fun sword. I'm just going to put this down here now.
All right, Scott, what you got?
Throwing stars, nunchucks,
chainsaw. Batarangs.
No, let me see.
Throwing chainsaws.
Let's throw a battery at it.
What? Why? What would I don't know? There's so many good options, and we've gone through so many. I wouldn't if I was walking around. That's all. I wouldn't be having any more than I had right now.
Yeah.
Honestly, like if you're walking around, I feel like you should have whatever your long gun is, whatever your sidearm gun is, whatever your long blade is, and whatever your shorter blade is.
Yep, agreed.
You know what I mean?
Now, home base, I would have vats of used motor oil, all kinds of stuff I could set on fire and pour onto people and mutants and zombies.
Robots.
Robots. I don't know what to do against robot, but
he's just going to send me out there and be like, I'm sorry.
Send our chief negotiator, Victor, out there.
Wrench,
hey guys.
wrench, I could use it against a robot, dismantle it. Come back to me.
I actually got one more. Okay.
What's that? Okay. No, go for it.
One that I just thought of today that I think would be pretty useful, specifically in the zombies. The Rondel Dagger.
Hell yeah.
Because that is basically just a sharpened fucking spike.
Okay.
So if you are close combat, that's into a skull.
Isn't that one pretty super beefy?
It
got
is
some
very
thickness
beefy,
to it.
very thick.
You couldn't break it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Nice.
And talk about just a skull poker. Just bam, that zombie's dead, that zombie's dead,
Excellent.
that zombie's dead. And
like
also
through a fence, whatever you need to do.
And also, like, it's so robust and, like, pretty sharp that, like, again, you're not going to be encountering breastplates. Even if somebody was wearing, like, a thick winter coat or something, like, that with enough force, like, you would get in there. So, like, I feel like that would be a pretty devastating sidearm to have on you.
Decent as a tool, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? For, like, opening cans and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I mean, as long as you sharpen it afterwards, it's going to be fine. That's a good call. That's a really good call. Especially if it's kind of zombies where you need to get them in the brain.
Yeah, literally.
That would be, like,
Isn't that every zombie?
Pretty much.
Which is the zombies that you don't have to get in the brain?
I'm thinking of the ones from The Last of Us.
Oh, yeah, those. Well, but a brain would still kill them.
Kill them, but it's not the same thing. It's
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
whatever. But
That's
yeah,
fair.
I guess maybe it would be the same thing. Yeah,
Well,
I guess it is. Yeah.
it's like universally the brain would kill pretty much all of them.
True.
But you could also just shoot those.
But like the clicker ones, they were shooting in the head. A lot of times
Yeah,
they weren't
that would
dying
do shit,
because
yeah.
it was just like so much
cut their head
armor
off.
up there.
Yeah. But you're right. If it is where the head would kill them, especially if they're slower moving and you could
just-
actually be in a hallway and, like, get one, have it come at you, get the other one. Like, I feel like that would be a good weapon to have. So
Absolutely. So, in the spirit of what you just talked about, my last thing that I have to talk about is armor.
Okay.
What kind of armor would I have? So again, I think that's going to vary depending on if I am moving somewhere over a long distance or if I'm staying somewhere. But if I'm staying somewhere, I'm going to try to get a set of chainmail. I think chainmail that covers up my arms at least, and from my arms down and my legs would be absolutely perfect, because every movie you see, right? What do you see? People get in tussle with the zombies. Yep. They're all fine. They're like, oh God, thank God we survived.
And then the teeth marks.
Right. They look down and they got teeth marks on their leg.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So I'm thinking, especially if I have a shield or something and I'm defending the house, and like, let's say I cut one of their legs off and they fall down and they try to gnaw on my leg.
Yeah.
Chainmail, man.
Yeah, I hear
It's
you.
badass. However, if I'm going to be traveling, I would try to get some riot gear. I think just like the arms and gloves and stuff from riot gear would be a really good thing to protect you. But I do think protecting yourself is huge, because one bite and you're done.
Right.
You're done.
Also, just from a psychological standpoint, like if you come out in chainmail and it's like people that you're scoring off, you can say like, well, this person's fucking crazy.
There's that part.
Cautionary tale. One time while I was at work, and we were talking about zombies at one point, I Googled zombie bite-proof suit.
Mm-hmm.
I clicked on the link.
Uh-oh.
And instantly must have downloaded a bunch of malware and stuff onto the computer.
I remember
started
this.
doing yes, you
I
remember.
remember this.
And things started popping up all over my screen, and I had to have IT like decontaminate.
What
it.
were you Googling?
Zombie bite-proof suit.
No,
so be careful
Right.
on what you click on if you Google zombie bite-proof suit.
Right.
All right.
I don't think that's what he actually Googled.
Well, you know what? You can Google
That's what I
whatever you
Googled.
want. We're not here to yuck anybody's yard.
Yeah.
Just the appropriate spec.
You don't know what will happen.
We don't kink shame here
Right,
on
no,
the
we sure
Unsheathed
don't.
Sword Reviews.
You know you might get a bunch of malware.
Just maybe,
Exactly.
also
Right.
maybe don't do it on your work computer. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Right.
Save that for your
Browse
computer.
safely out there, people.
So you got anything else, Scott?
I don't think so, Vic. Do you have anything else?
No, I think just what I said. Like, I would want some kind of short sword, one type of, like, really good knife or dagger. Like, definitely it'd be kukri. Kukri would be something I would completely have on me, and then if I had some kind of longer blade, I'd go with that. But yeah, I think those would be the most... Whatever could double as a tool and a weapon, I think would be handy in the apocalypse. Oh, we should probably just mention zombie tools before we get yelled at in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what they're made for, I suppose.
Yeah.
So,
though?
we haven't handled all the
they're
zombie
very
tools.
durable,
They are
very heavy,
durable.
though.
That's my problem.
And some are very dangerous to the wielder
Exactly.
of the implement.
Mm-hmm.
There are definitely examples of zombie tools that I would be happy to have.
Right.
Yes.
Especially in the post-apocalypse.
Exactly.
But probably not the Kraken, though.
No, I would rather be eaten by zombies slowly over the course of months. I'd rather be in the Sarlacc pit, slowly digested over 1,000 years, than I would to have to wield that thing.
That's
Oh,
fair.
my goodness.
Yeah.
It's almost like he doesn't like that. You should check out our review if you want to know
Yeah,
more.
If you're looking for more invective.
But yeah, with the apocalypse, I think pretty much covered it. That's what I would take with me. Because the bad thing about like a real sword is, like, again, they're typically long. They're gonna require maintenance, sharpening, oiling, like. But then firearms, you're gonna need to have a fuck ton of ammo also, and like that's a lot of weight to carry with you. So I mean, there's pros and cons to each, but yeah.
Yeah, that's why I was kind of thinking if this was like a post-firearm situation. Like if for some reason they didn't work anymore, or if, it was years later and there's no more ammo.
That's the other thing. Like, you can have all the firearms you want, but if you're like looking for ammo the entire time,
Exactly.
then whatever edged -- blunt force weapons you have on you are going to become your primary weapons real fucking quick.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
It's a lot to think about.
Yeah. Baseball bat.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
Light.
Wrap it in barbed wire.
It's not going to last
Forever, though.
forever.
Yeah.
But there's always another baseball bat.
Theoretically.
Or
yes.
one of those aluminum bats.
True.
Those would
Yeah.
bend pretty easily, I bet, after a couple whacks.
Oh,
don't
you
think?
naysayer.
I'm just saying.
Why don't you just go live with the robots?
I would if they let me.
Honorable mention also, I want to say this is a good thing, would be my Danax. Just because I really like that a lot. I would want the reinforced edge, because if I'm busting zombie skulls with it, you want it as reinforced as possible. Yeah. But I definitely think that would have a use, particularly if you're somewhere holding ground and you got a bunch of people with shields and you're just kind of like the sergeant walking around behind, like checking to make sure everything's okay. Every once in a while, you just pop over the line and drop a big, aggressive-looking zombie. Could be useful for that, just kind of the way like a Huskarl would have used
We
it
got an
back in
official
Hastings.
rank and command structure now?
Well, sure.
Okay, all right.
Gotcha. You're a sergeant in real life, dude. you think you're gonna take orders from Mr. Sympathizer?
I don't know.
Hey.
Come on now.
Oh, not him.
No.
Definitely not him.
I'm only a robot sympathizer.
It's true. Just because you can't negotiate with zombies.
I would if I could.
Are you, though? Are you telling me you would never be a mutant sympathizer or a cannibal sympathizer?
Victor's always looking for his best deal. That's what's going on.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm about the art of negotiation, right? So if you come at me, whatever it is, and you're like, brains, and I'd be like, brains?
Victor would say,
like, I would negotiate. I'd make it work.
I would gladly turn on these two guys if
right.
I can be welcomed into your group.
Not gladly. That's strong.
Under slight duress.
Quickly is the more like that's better. Yeah, like all day, as soon as it happened. But I wouldn't be glad about it. What kind of perk package are we talking about? Like, do I get a finder's fee? Like, do I get a? I mean, we'll talk. Don't call me. But I will sell the human race out hard.
You're a fucking liability.
They're gonna kill me the second the apocalypse goes down. Is what I'm hearing.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
That's cool.
We need your swords.
That's fair. All right, well, that's I think that's all I got. Sound off in the comments, guys. Let us know what you would want to have on your person in the apocalypse, zombie or otherwise.
And feel free to talk about different scenarios, like being on the road versus holding territory versus, whatever, in your mom's basement. I don't care. Whatever. Tell us what you think.
Yeah. Scott, what you got? Anything else?
If your mother's not around, is it your mother's basement, though?
No, it's
Or
just,
is it your
I
basement?
think you'll
It's
always
your
think of it
basement.
that way.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, okay. Okay, I'll hold that fond.
like in your
Yeah.
heart, it'll always be your mother's basement.
I hear you. Yep. I hear you. Okay, I think that's it.
Right.
I think that's all I got.
I've enjoyed this time we've had together,
This
fellas.
has been a good time, definitely. We should do this again sometime.
Sure.
What do you
Maybe
think?
maybe
Maybe
once
next
every
month.
month.
do you think?
We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see what you guys think.
Same bad time, similar bad channel.
And copyright.
Reminisce.
There goes that. All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks for joining us on this episode of Unsheathed Sword Podcast. Let us know in the comments what you would have on your person during an apocalypse. And let us know in the comments if you have any questions, things you want to see moving forward, anything like that. Right, John?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Be sure to like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications.
Peace.